Ingeteam Power Technology. Power Grid Automation. Tutorials. Topic: Functional keys. In this video, we will learn how to configure the functional keys of an Ingepak IED with the Energy Factory Suite tool. The functional keys can be configured from 3 of the applications in the EFS tool: Pack Factory, Substation Factory, and IED Factory. The first application, Pack Factory, lets the user configure the functional keys of a single IED. In order to access the functional keys configurator, we first need to open the Pack Factory application and select the IED whose functional keys will be configured. Then, we will access the local display editor from either the Configuration drop-down menu in the toolbar or from the Configuration section in the column to the left. Once the local display editor is loaded, in the Configuration drop-down menu, the Functional Keys tag will be found, from where the Functional Keys configuration window will be accessed. Substation Factory and IED Factory do also allow the user to configure the functional keys from the local display editor. As opposed to Pack Factory and Substation Factory, the configurations done in the IED Factory application do not apply to a single IED, but to a template IED. As it can be seen, functional keys are configured in a table format. Ingepak EFIEDs can have up to 14 functional keys configured, whereas Ingepak DA IEDs are limited to 12. The second and third columns of the table are used to assign a status signal to the functional key, which has 2 small LED indicators. If a simple binary signal is assigned, the LEDs in the functional key will turn 1 at the time, the top one for the non-inverted high value of the assigned signal, and the bottom one for the non-inverted low value of the signal. If a double binary signal is assigned, the LEDs in the functional key will turn on and off as follows: none for the indeterminate value, only the bottom one on for the open status, only the top one on for the closed status, and both on for the bad state. The columns in the middle are used to assign a command to the functional key. The last column, inverted, lets the user select whether the status and command signals will be inverted or not when reflected in the functional key's LEDs, or when commanded from the functional keys. In this example, the first 2 functional keys will be configured, the first one for the protection breaker and the second one for the local and remote modes. In order to assign a status signal, the 3-dotted icon in the 4th column needs to be clicked on, which will show us the signal browsing window. Likewise, the command signal can also be assigned by clicking on the 3-dotted symbol to the right. Now, the second functional key will be configured to control the local and remote modes of the IED. Once we are done with the configurations, these need to be saved and sent to the device. In order to send the functional keys configurations, we will need to look for the Send Configuration tag in the Tools drop-down menu in the toolbar. Since the functional keys are configured from the local display editor, both configurations will be sent at the same time. Now, let's test this configuration with an IED. As it can be seen, the relay is on remote mode, so we cannot send any commands from the local display or functional keys to the breaker. Using the second functional key, the relay configuration can be changed to local mode. Once the local mode is activated, the circuit breaker commands will be enabled for the functional keys. In order to send any commands, we will first need to press the functional key associated to it, and then press one of the 2 green and red buttons. Finally, we now know how to configure the functional keys of an Ingepak IED with the Energy Factory Suite tool.
Ingeteam. Electrifying a sustainable future.